I'll just say this: he was a better man than he was a basketball player, and he's a Hall of Fame basketball player. That says it all. I saw a little sound bite from Masai Ujiri, who was GM here in Denver, and then obviously went to Toronto. Called him a giant, and forget the 7-2 status and all that. I mean, what he did back in his hometown, the lives he saved by building that hospital, and the money he helped finance with it, alone is amazing. If you watch Nigeria this year in the Olympics, and were as competitive as you've ever seen, I think Dikembe helped, along with Masai, but Dikembe really helped put African, the country of Africa on the map as far as basketball. I don't know if he was the first, but he was the first that I think garnered national attention. And now you have a country that is in love with basketball as much as soccer, which has been the easiest sport, obviously, everybody to get into. And that's part of Dikembe's legacy. He's a brilliant guy. You know, he had that deep voice. It was funny from going from a teammate to being a guy that interviewed him. I didn't realize I had to listen as hard to hear him talk as I did when I had a microphone in front of me. But he was a gem of a guy from the moment he came in his rookie year. And I remember our first training camp that year was in Colorado Springs, and we were staying at the Embassy Suites in Colorado Springs. And here's this big, gangly, deep-throated, beautiful man, and just been a good friendship. I got to see him a few months before his diagnosis of the brain cancer was announced. Back here in Denver to do something for the Nuggets. And though he only played, I think 5 seasons with Denver, and played 14 other years in other places, I think he always held Denver as a special place. And I think you saw that when they raised his number up in the banners at Ball Arena, that how much he is still loved here is, to me, the biggest mistake the Denver Nuggets organization's ever made, letting him go. But he'll be loved. He'll be loved. He'll be remembered forever, as far as I'm concerned. I think God didn't have to play against him. So I got his first 2 years in the league, and then after that, I covered his whole career. I've been covering the Nuggets for so long, but I got to watch his whole career. Always had a smile, always beautiful, never forgot the people he was with, or teammates, or anything like that. That was wonderful. I remember his rookie year. And we were practicing at DU. In our locker room after was this racquetball court. It wasn't set up for it, but that's where we had to practice, and we dressed in this little fake locker room in a racquetball court. And so you see this 7'2" dude stepping into a racquetball court to get dressed. But he was so gangly, and he hit me with these elbows. Every time he'd turn around the face, he'd pop you in the face. And so shot went up one time, and I had enough, and I had a trick I used to be able to do, and I got my leg behind him and just spread out, and I flipped him on the ground. And got down. I got a fast break. He's still laying down. I got a layup on the other end. Timeout, shoot free throws, and I'm shooting free throws, and Westhead comes over to me and goes, Scott, that was a pretty hard throw. You kind of threw Dikembe down pretty hard. I go, yeah. He said, he really looks up to you. I go, I know. It's my rook. I think you need to go apologize to him. I went, I just come from Detroit. I went, apologize? What are you talking about? But we talked about that, and I don't know. He was a great player, and I got to see him grow. I remember going to Hubie Brown once. I said, Coach, tell me, you got a guy that's averaging 15, 12, and 3 blocks every single game. Why do you let him walk? He said, you don't. As a head coach, you got 5 guys you're worried about each and every night, and that's your 5 starters. If I know every night I'm getting 15, 12, and 3, guess what? As a coach, I've only got to worry about 4 guys. In Dikembe's career, and I think this is a staple of what kind of player he was, you never had to worry about 55, whether he started or was coming on, but you never had to worry about what you were going to get. And I don't think there's a bigger compliment that you can give any player than the fact that his consistency of not only how he was going to play as far as tough and physical and competing, but what he was going to give you. Coaches never worried about that, and that to me is a sign. That's a sign of a great player. He was beautiful. He was just wonderful, to be honest with you. There was never any issues. He quietly built himself up into a leader and a voice in the locker room. He wasn't afraid to be made fun of. He wasn't afraid to be the butt end of a practical joke. I remember there's probably video of it somewhere. But we had a preseason Nuggets golf tournament back when stuff like that was big, right? And they had him on the range. And listen, I think maybe this was the first time he'd ever swing a golf club in his life. Was when he came to this Nuggets golf tournament, and they gave him one of those white exploding golf balls, that just blow. The funny thing is when he hit it and it blew up on him, he was like, he just roared laughing. As I remember, it took him about 3 swings before he ever hit it, which was even funnier for us. Listen, he could, whether he was leading the charge of the tomfoolery or was it catching it, still always smiled, still always cared, and it was just amazing. His rookie year, he and I would, after warm-ups and right before we'd come back for the national anthem, we'd sit on the bench and we'd go over who he was playing that night, Patrick or whoever it might be, Moses at the time. I said, okay, what did they do? What do they like him? So we would always go game plan. And then I'd always ask him, what's the referees' names? And I encouraged him to always know the referees' names. So instead, when you wanted to talk to a guy, hey, 23, you'd say, hey, Tom, hey, Bob, this guy's, whatever it is, and make it personal. And he was always receptive. He never told me to go pound sand. I had an interesting text today. When we heard the news, I'm on a train with 2 of my older daughters, and one of them said, hey, you remember when Dikembe at the games would always look up at us and point to us? And that's a pretty powerful memory they have that I think is cool. Listen, Bill Russell, and it was way before my time, and we'll go down. He's an iconic defender, and everybody talks about him. But I don't think, honestly, I don't think Dikembe has to take a back door or a back seat to Bill Russell, even when it comes to being one of the greatest defensive centers that's ever played. Listen, when Dikembe came to Denver, we were in the dregs of stink. And he changed that and added legitimacy. By his third year, they're pulling off the 8-1 playoff. But he brought legitimacy back to the Denver Nuggets. He really honestly did. And some of those battles between Jordan's Bulls championship teams and Denver. In fact, I think the year they won 72, one of their losses was against the lowly Nuggets who didn't make the playoffs. And the Jordan shooting the free throw blindfolded, was for Dikembe, was showing Dikembe. That's good to hear because, listen, and I say this, and the measure of a man, you probably never fully understand till they're gone. And we're talking about Dikembe's gone now. And I know everybody gets nice things usually said about him. But these are as legit as you'll ever get. Everything said about Dikembe, kindness, philanthropic, all the different stuff, doesn't even do him justice. I've never seen him unkind. And And we all have bad days, and I'm sure Dikembe had bad days. I got a message from a buddy of mine who's the head of security down at Ball and been that way since Dikembe played here, and said he always stopped by, and this is my buddy quoting, said hello to the little people. That's Dikembe. He didn't care if you were a CEO or the guy that swept it up after the game. He didn't care, and that was part of his beauty. You mentioned that holding that ball over his head. Other than the Nuggets winning a championship, there's never been a more iconic moment in the near 60 years of Nuggets basketball. There's not another more iconic moment than Dikembe holding that ball, laying on the floor, because that's the definition. If Webster had a definition of pure joy in the dictionary, you just put that picture. You put that picture right there of Dikembe. Not only an 8 beating a 1, but people forget they were down 0-2 in a 5-game series to win that series 3-2, and they got pounded the first 2 games. And so that was the look. I'll always remember it. You want to see the look of pure joy. That was that moment right there.